when they eventually penetrated into Enugu here in 1909, when Enugu started.
We're talking about the feudal system as it concerns this modern times. Can you expatiate on that?
No, the feudal system was in the past,
okay.
What we call the Middle Ages, before Industrial Revolution started.
Right.
So, but you can also make an analogy. So if you look at how the feudal system worked, it's like a pyramid. The king or whoever was the strong man that was sitting on top of the apex of the pyramid. And immediately after him are his foot soldiers, the knights, the commanders, the slave masters who are flogging people to make sure that they get the work done. So the greater part of the pyramid was populated by slaves who go into the field. Remember this time there was no machine to do anything. Cultivation, everything was by hand. So these people, they call hewers and drawers, hewers of wood and drawers of water. They farm the land and bring the process to the king, who took a little from what they have produced to give them to go and eat. And then he will take the remainder and sell and become richer. So if you want to make an analogy now that we have machines, so the people actually displaced in Europe, machines can do what 1,000 persons can do. The machine can do it in 1 hour. So what do you do with the people that are left? And this is how the social system in Europe started. This army of people who have been displaced by machines. It was the Catholic Church that told the leaders, if you want to enjoy, if you want to have a good society, you have to take care of these people. So this is where the welfare system started. Give them water, give them road, have good healthcare system, do insurance so that those who are sick can be treated without dying because they don't have money. So in Germany, if you don't have money, government will treat you. If you don't have work, government will pay you every month.
Wow.
If you don't have house, government will give you house.
Wow.
So the industrialists now who have plenty of money, making a lot of profits from what they are getting, they are taking care of those who don't have anything in order to be able to eat that their money and enjoy it. Because if you leave this army of people, this is the mistake we are making, is that the army of people on the road, roaming around, the day it will strike, nobody will be able to survive it. Of course, they will kill some people, but you will not be able to survive what will happen when you don't take care. So this is the basis of the welfare system in Europe. Take care of the people. And if I tell you, Charles, that in Germany people pay 45% of their salary as tax, you will marvel.
45%?
45%, yes, quote me. But they are paying assured that that money is going into provision of social amenities. So it is not when you pay like here, you pay 1.5 million to get your house plan approved. But you have to dig a borehole, you have to buy a transformer, you buy a cable, you build the road, and government will come and collect tax on top of it when they don't do anything for you. In Europe, it is different. So that's why when we are talking about government, you really put a question mark. Do we really have what you can call good governance? It doesn't exist here because of some of these things I'm talking about. So the feudal system was the system that existed, but you can have something that resembles it now. Let's make this analogy, Charles. The local government system disenfranchised all the towns that are in this particular local government because the state government is in charge of this local government. Election is done, one man is deciding for 10 towns, so they don't have much to say. So to say, you can say that those people are slaves to a certain extent. I hope people should not misunderstand the term I'm using. But the fact that those people have no direct connection to governance, they don't make any input. The people in the House of Assembly are there doing their thing. The people in my village, they don't know what they're doing. Nobody's consulting them. Nobody asks them. So the people are being exploited to a certain extent. Like the slaves were exploited in those days. The people who are making the decision, they don't give a damn, they don't give a hoot about you. You create urban centers where rich people, those who have money, they go there and live, they have amenities. The 70% or more of our people live in the rural area. So why is it that you have to have a situation like that? So these people who live in the rural area, who are there, and a few people here in the state are controlling them, forcing them to pay tax, even when they get nothing. So are they like slaves? You can argue it. You know?
But the difference at the time is the fact that as a slave in the past, you really don't have a choice.
Yes, but
now, you have a choice. There's certain things you can do, but the people don't seem to want to even do.
Of course, you have a choice to a certain extent, Charles, because when we were talking about people who are collecting 2,000 to vote.
Well, that's their choice.
Yeah, but they have the choice probably to reject. But when you look at their circumstance, you may not have a choice. You go to get a job. The people who have master's degrees who are riding Okada, it is a hard choice because they have nothing else to do, and they are condemned to doing that. The field is looking down on them. So when the economic space is so restricted and is so narrow, you exclude the majority of the people, they don't thrive. That's what we are talking about. A young man who graduated 5 years ago and now has not gotten a job, he looks at his age. When am I going to marry and start raising children? What kind of house in one room with my wife and children when he's supposed to live in a flat? So what kind of work is he going to be doing to be able to get money to buy a car or build his own house or live in a flat and send his children to a good school? He has 6 children. You can see that the economic space is too narrow. Only very few people are entering into it. And who are those who are determining who enters into this narrow economic space? It is the government. And if they shrink it more, you are out. And if you make so much noise, they get you out, as they say. It is the children of those who are connected that get admitted into UNN, into the schools that are said to be prestigious. Those who have money will buy marks for their children to go to the next class. So that basically those people in the village are excluded. There are a lot of people who don't go to school. And the reason is because they don't have school in their area or their parents cannot afford. Can you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The choices are so restricted. So when you look at it, their space, they don't have any input in how they are ruled. As I mentioned the other day, how many people go to the plenary of the house here? Who even knows what the House of Assembly here is talking about? Who has the time to go and look at the budget? Why is education getting 6%? And the budget for the house alone is 10 times more than that is budgeted for the school. Or the budget in the government house is far higher than that budgeted for the school. Do you think that if those towns are allowed to make input, do you think they're going to allow such a thing to happen? Their independence is taken, they can't do anything. The people are there and watching what is happening.
Sometimes I sit back and I ask, really, what is in the thinking of leadership or leaders in Africa, and specifically Nigeria, and the thinking of the leaders outside here? I mean, if leadership is all about getting resources and redistributing these resources for the betterment of the society, you would wonder, to what extent, why do we have dysfunctional leadership in Nigeria as compared to the ones that exist?
Yeah, just I gave you the answer to it about 3 weeks ago. Go and read that book, Why Nations Fail, The Origin of Poverty and Prosperity. Go and read it. I told you, Charles, the leaders don't get it wrong because they don't know it. They get it wrong on purpose.
To what extent?
To the extent,
to what end?
Wait now, because they believe, even if it is not totally true, they don't have any incentive to expand the space because they believe they will lose the prominence they have. They lose the prestige when everybody is coming to bow down to you. It defies imagination.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, but I can tell you, it is not lack of knowledge. It is not because of culture. It is not. You think that the people in the north don't know that going to school is good, but they keep. The great majority of the people, they go to Quranic school. They know that the day that the people are allowed to go to school, they will begin to think, and then they will come to attack them. So don't make the mistake to say, Africa, we have 54 independent African countries. How many of them are thriving? You have some presidents that are 80-something years old, they are still in power. You understand? Paul Biya, for instance, he doesn't know what he's talking about anymore, but he's still in power. So these people are sitting on whatever remains as the wealth of the people, and they shrink the space in order to make them to continue to be relevant. I told you that Europe, they overcame it, but it was by struggle. Remember, as I mentioned, Charles, James Watt had to go to the king to get permission to build the steam engine. If the king had said no, he would never have been able to build it. Another man who built a boat was arrested and put in prison by the king. For those who are crying that Igbos should go and get kings like other people, is that what they want, an autocracy and autocratic authoritarian ruler who has all the powers and then he rules as he wants? What exactly is kingship? Because what we have in Europe now is not kingship in the way it used to be. The kings have been removed, they are not anything near the government. King Charles has nothing to do with, he does ceremonial things. The parliament, the prime minister, these are the people. In those days, it was the kings that determine who becomes what. Ceremonially, if you become a prime minister in England, you have to go to the queen to say, oh, madam, they have appointed me, should I go ahead? Yeah, the queen could say no, but she will not, because has no reason for her to say no. Her power is the king of Spain, king of Holland, king of Belgium. All these people, they don't have any say in government to a certain extent. These are ceremonial kingship. Is that the one that, or like the one that our traditional leaders, I prefer to call them, not rulers, because they're not ruling anybody. They are ceremonial, they don't have any power. They say custom and tradition. In the three lists of administration, the exclusive list, the concurrent list, and the residual list, which is for local government, the Igwe has no power there. There's no provision there for Igwe to make anything. It's just sitting there. You create autonomous communities that has nothing autonomous in what they are doing. Yeah. So except that you have dissension and strife and antagonism, people are fighting. It is like divide and rule. And whoever is appointed has to pay homage to the government, otherwise he will not hold the post. For me, this doesn't make any sense at all.
You can join the conversation by calling into the studio, making comments or even asking questions as the case may be. Before we get into taking calls and taking reactions, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned earlier that the leadership here in Africa or in Nigeria, would lose their prominence if they expand.
If they open the economic and political space, that's what they think.
Right. So I'm wondering, have their counterparts outside the country lost that same steam, that same thing? So much so that because outside it's open, the economic opportunities are wonderful,
limitless,
compared to this place. So you wonder, have they lost that if you want to model your country to another country, say for instance a country in Europe, say France, I mean you cannot say that Macron's leadership is clingy or doesn't open the system. So I wonder, where did they get this model of keeping people and making sure that the system doesn't open to opportunities, so much so that they limit people from really achieving so much.
Yeah, part of it is what we talked about, the colonization. When the white people left, our own people simply stepped into the shoes where white people have created and destroyed the internal mechanism that would have prevented what we are talking about. If you go to your town now and you have 6 villages, and they give your town a cow, and one village takes the cow and eats it, what do you think that will happen? It's going to be a serious problem in the local way. But now a local government chairman can take that cow and eat it and nothing will happen. It doesn't give account to the people. So the issue of France, as example, I told you about the revolution that took place in 1789. They killed the king Louis XVI. They murdered him and cut off his head and hung it on the road, and said from today they never had kings again till today. So Macron may not have the same aura that our president Yoweri Museveni of Uganda will have as a big man. Our presidents, they think that they are kings in a certain sense, yes. I told you of a story of when I went to Germany for the first time. I was invited to an occasion. I was following one man, a huge man, to go and dish food. It was a buffet. When I finished my food, I sat down, and the person who invited me said, "Do you know the person you are following?" I said, he said, "This is the president of Germany." The president. He was on the line to go and dish food.
Wow.
And when he finished eating, he went to the kitchen where they are keeping the plates to go and drop the plate. And you have your governor running with 24 jeeps on the road with army and police and road safety, using their sticks and koboko to chase the ordinary people into the gutter so that the real people will pass. What are you talking about? Nobody will do that in Europe. You will step down that day. You are serving. The problem is the rule of law. The rule of law does not take place. If you go to the rule of law index, most African countries score 0 or score very minimal mark, because it is the rule of law that is democracy. We'll be talking more about it in the next edition when we talk about the concept of good governance, and we focus especially on local government administration. That is when we will talk about the principles of the rule of law, and you see why the things you are expecting will not happen here, because you don't have the rule of law. You look at what resembles law, but it's not the rule of law. When the executive is the one that is flouting the law, the executive is the one that is making sure that the things don't happen the way they're supposed to be. Or you see what the police is doing on the road. The law says you cannot abuse people, you cannot torture people, and the policeman is doing it right there in your face with impunity and flagrance, and tell you that there's nothing you can do. If you talk, he will shoot you dead and nothing will happen. That's where the whole thing is about.
Wow. All right. Phone lines 0700 1055 1055. 0700 1055 1055. You can also call 0700 1055 0000. That's 0700 1055 0000. All right, we have time for just a few phone calls. If you're lucky, you can get through. Good to have you. Good morning. Oh, that's it. Interesting discourse as always with Reverend Toby Lamani. We're almost out of time. We have to preview next week's program, and of course also reflect a little bit of what she had mentioned while she was talking. I just picked up something that she mentioned. For you to be a leader, you have to model like a white man. You have to speak like them. You have to think like them. You have to go to the schools that they go to in order for your mind to be open So much so you'll be able to tell the kinds of things that people would need to actually be a leader.
No, that's not actually the issue. The wore a suit and tie, but they didn't think like the white man. Remember this, I'm sure you read No Longer Atheist. Obi Okonkwo was sent by his people home mafia to go to London to study law so that when he comes back, he will be judging the land cases. He went to London and instead of studying law, he studied English. And came back in Lagos, they went to receive him. They were looking for a man with tie. He came with shirt and trouser, and they said, we have wasted our money. You know. But Achebe was trying to show something. You don't need to be a white man. Don't need to put tie in the hot sun. You see the point? So we're trying to imitate the white people. Our governors, our parliamentarians, they go to Europe, they see how the rail system is going. Just tell me why the entire Southeast cannot have a rail running all the southeastern states. What is it that is preventing them? Each governor is like one small emperor in his own place. They don't talk to each other. They don't coordinate in order to open the economic space. You know what it means if you take a train here, go to Abia, connect another one to Imo State, to Anambra, to Ebonyi. You know what that will mean to the economy. So people are wearing white people's clothes, but they're not thinking like them. The pomposity, the arrogance is too much, and the concentration of power. The governor actually thinks like he's an Caesar, an emperor sitting in Rome and controlling everything. That's why we have problems.
Wow. I wanted to expand this discussion regarding, how they got there. I mean, what people could do now that we have another elections coming up.
Next week.
One wonders really, specifically, what can someone do? What can you do collectively? What can we do collectively in order to enthrone people who would lead us for another 4 years at least?
Yeah, let's talk about it in the next edition, Principles of Good Governance, and we'll be focusing on local government administration, challenges and opportunities, prospects. We will try to talk about what can be done. And I want to say that somebody has actually tried to do it here in the Southeast. P2B tried it in Anambra State, you remember? And for the 8 years he stayed there, remember, they fought him so hard, he was impeached, I think 2 times. He refused to share money, and we saw the effect of not sharing money. Among your cronies and people who are surrounding you, say, I came to serve. And he served, and we saw the fruit. So this thing just is not rocket science. The day that the people want to do it, those people in government want to do it. And when I say to you, you can actually say that government is the greatest problem of the people. I can say this because when you look at decisions that are taken and why those decisions are taken, and why people are not implementing the laws and decisions that are taken in Parliament, and the people who are supposed to implement it are looking the other way, who are you thinking should come and do it? And you want good results. You want a good education, but the actions that are taking place are negating the effects you are supposed to get from that education. You understand?
Yeah.
So there's no rocket science about it. And the worst, Charles, is that our people are conniving with the forces that are killing the state. Look at now, Nigeria is collapsing in our faces. And you are telling me it's because the people who are in control, they didn't know what to do. No, they knew. This is deliberate. It is deliberate until people come out to participate, as in our 2 other editions. You are not as powerless as you think you are. We mentioned a few things you can do. Start from the local government. Next week, let's talk about the local government and talk a little about the new people who are going to enter into the place where they will become small gods. Because these people that are coming on their knees to come and beg us now, check what will happen in the next 1 year if you get them on phone. If I'm a local government chairman and I have not gone to all the towns in my local government one by one, or if I'm a governor, I have not gone to all the towns in my state, I will go local government. What is the person actually doing in the office? What is it that is done in the office? If you understand what goes on in government, you will cry. because it is not government of the people, it's government of a clique of people who are using the power and the resources around to be able to prop up themselves and get themselves rich. And that's all. The other people can, whatever happens to them, they don't care.
Wow. Let's leave it here for another edition next week, Thursday, same time, same station. This program has been a production of the People's Creative Empowerment International. I will be speaking with Dr. Reverend Father Tobin Namadi, giving us insights into these interesting topics as they come. Remember, next week, good governance as it relates to the local government part of our lives. Remember, elections are due in few days. It's just about 7, 8, 9 days to that election. So how prepared are you? We'll discuss that and extensively too when we come back next week Thursday from 10. My name is Charles. I want to say a very big thank you to you for listening and to our Reverend. Many thanks again, sir, for coming.
Thank you very much. God bless.
All right. Thank you and have yourselves a beautiful day.